My girlfriend has been living a double life, and now I'm friends with her husband. I just found out my girlfriend has been living a double life. I was cooking breakfast when the phone rang, and when I answered the call, it was some random man called Ethan asking for my girlfriend. I asked him who he was, and he said Amy's husband. I paused thinking I had misunderstood, so I followed up with sorry. I must have misheard you. Did you just say Amy's husband? And he laughed and said yes. And who are you? I tried to gather my thoughts. I said I'm Amy's boyfriend. Amy's boyfriend? As in Amy Thompson? Yes. I said slowly. The phone went silent, and I heard a long sigh before the line cut out. I put the phone down. My thoughts scrambling for reason. I ran upstairs and calmly walked into our bedroom. Amy was getting ready for work, so I sat on the bed watching her change. She asked, "Is everything okay?" I looked at her and said I was just on the phone to your husband. Her head snapped around, eyes wider than I had ever seen them. How did he sound? She muttered. Taken aback, I said, confused at the idea of you having a boyfriend. She rolled her eyes and said, we divorced years ago. Think nothing more of it. She had never told me she was married before, and we have been together for 6 years, so I didn't believe her. Besides, she looked defensive. Something wasn't right, and even down to the way she stood looking at me reeked of guilt. I asked her if she had a second phone. She shook her head. I asked her if she had any secret children, a second mortgage, or any holidays planned to Disneyland. To that, she laughed and said that I was the only man in her life, but neglected to answer my question about children, which immediately aroused my suspicion. She shortly went to work with a smile plastered on her face. I lured her into a false sense of security, kissing her as she left, but then I got to work. I turned the house upside down, inside out and back to front. I found 2 black suitcases I had never seen before hidden at the back of the wardrobe. One of them had a receipt inside from Hilton in London, which we had never been to. That could have been for a work trip, but the bags were new. I went into the garage and emptied every box and bag I could find. Eventually, I found a set of car keys and an oil can placed on top of a large stack of shelves. It was for a Ford Fiesta, which neither of us drove. I knew that there was a public car park nearby, so I took a walk up the road, pressing the car key, and sure enough, I saw the lights flare up in the furthest corner of the car park. I sat inside. It stank of smoke, which angered me even more because Amy told me she quit. I went through the glove compartment, and I found an old flip phone, a wallet, and some red nail polish. Inside the wallet was a credit card, debit card, and train tickets. All of them belonged to Amy, but registered to an address in London. I felt a pull in my stomach, a knot forming in the back of my throat as I reached a shaking hand over to the phone. There he was, a handsome man with big brown eyes smiling up at me with Amy's arm around him. I sat back in the car. I couldn't breathe, heartbroken and numb. Gathering my composure, I gathered her things and went back to the house. I spent the day tidying my mess and being careful to place everything back. I cleaned the house, packed my bags, and left her second phone, wallet, and nail polish in the center of the kitchen table before leaving. Once in the car, I called her husband and agreed to drive down to see him. It took about 4 hours, and when I arrived, he was a mess. We talked through the night. Apparently, he didn't know about me. I met her little boy, Harry, and heard stories about their marriage.